So let's talk about deployment, like how exactly do we deploy the predictive models? There are two ways, batch mode and API mode. So what is batch mode deployment? So in batch mode deployment, you create a function that executes every day or every week. So daily, weekly, monthly, or even quarterly. Like in my current project, what happened? The, it was running weekly. The models were running weekly, and there were so many models that it it costed a lot. I mean, the Azure, it is deployed in Azure, so when it runs, it costs a lot. So they decided that let us not run it weekly, let us run it monthly, and then later on they decided, okay, it is still costing a lot. Let us run it quarterly because the values are not changing significantly. Okay, so now the predictive models, the so one type of predictive models, the other model still runs weekly. Okay, the other type of predictive models that produce the same results over weekly or monthly or quarterly, it is now changed to quarterly frequency. So it depends upon the use case of every project. The models can be executed or refreshed every day, weekly, monthly, or quarterly. So in order to run this as a data scientist, what is your outcome? So you create a function, create a function that takes input data frame and generate predictions. Now imagine it like this. You created, let's say, function predict. It takes some input data. Okay. From where this input data will come? You will work with the database team. So in your DB,
Data engineers.
yeah, data engineers or database team. This is your database. So you will work with them to create an SQL query, let's say, and you can connect with the database directly and you will pull the data. What type of data? So let's say your model data or the data that you use as your features. Okay. There will be a table that will contains rows and columns, or there will be multiple tables and you have combined them together and you created a view or maybe an SQL query that combines multiple tables. So this data input is given to your model. Okay. Then your model takes these and it loads the final trained predictive model that you have saved. So we will see about how do we save the predictive models. So load final model, perform data processing. So let's say in the input data, you standardized it. So you need to standardize the input data. If there are missing values, then you treat the missing values. Okay. If you have taken logarithm or done any kind of data transformations, so you do all those steps. If you have done get dummies, you have to do get dummies. You do all those steps to bring the input data to the same level in which you have trained the model on. Okay. And then you do the predictions. And these predictions are returned back over here. So let's say you've generated the prediction and it is appended or a new table is created using these predictions. Okay. Now in the database, now you have one row with predictions sorry, one table with predictions and the original data input. You use this data to generate dashboards. What are dashboards? You see some charts and graphs and some tables. These dashboards are utilized by the clients. Where will you create these dashboards? So you are not going to create these dashboards. So people who are from BI team, okay, in your project, they are going to create these dashboards for you. So popular dashboarding tools are like Tableau,
Power BI.
Power BI, ClickView, um, Hotspot. Many tools are present in the market. Okay, so you can use any one of these dashboarding tools to create the dashboards. The reason why you should know at least one dashboarding tool is because to understand the basics of dashboarding. So if you are producing certain type of predictions and the BI team is creating some crazy visualization, then you can guide them that boss, this will not work. I want my clients or I want the people to visualize the predictions in this way. So you can guide them to produce a correct chart. Okay, they may not know how to visualize this particular prediction. If it is 0 and 1, they may start showing a scatter plot for it or some other graph which is not relevant. Okay, so you need to tell them exactly how to visualize this information. You can help them. So this whole thing, so this dashboard is visible to the client. So dashboards gets refreshed with the predictions or the new data every day or every week or every month, etc. Okay. And then your job as a data scientist is to produce this function that returns the data by taking an input from the database. So during the deployment of a project, of machine learning project, you interact with the database team, you interact with the Power BI team also, or Tableau team, or whatever team is responsible for visualization. So it's a batch job that you create. It runs daily, so you will interact with the Java team or the middleware team, whosoever is deploying everything on the server. Okay, so you'll work with them, you'll give them this function, they will run this function based on the duration. This is known as batch mode. So a batch job runs, it updates the data into the database, and that data is shown in the dashboards. When you go real time, then you have a requirement to give the results immediately. Like you don't want to wait for 1 day or 2 day to get the results. So let's say you've considering this same use case. Let's say the company said that you have to create a app. This app says price predictor. This app says, okay, tell me what is the age of the car, how many kilometers it has run, and what is the weight, let's say. Based on these three parameters, I will have a predict button and this will produce the result. Let's say it will say, okay, this car should be priced at 12,000. Okay. Now this is an app. This is an application. So if this is an application, if you are using an app on your mobile phone and you type the age value, let's say uh, 10 and number of kilometers as 12,000 and weight as 1150 kgs, you will expect the answer immediately, right? The moment you click on this button, you will expect the answer immediately. You will not expect that, okay, tomorrow it will give me the results, right? So an API or an app has to respond immediately. So this is your real-time use case. So for real-time deployments of predictive model, you need to pay attention to a lot more things as compared to batch mode. So in batch mode, it doesn't matter how many independent variables you have, how much time it is taking to run. Okay, you don't have to consider anything. But in API, It has to run fast, and you cannot ask the user too many questions. If you say, okay, tell me these 100 things, then I will tell you the prediction. The user will say, बहुत ही बकवास ऐप है ये, इसको 1 स्टार देके delete कर देता हूँ. You have to think about the user experience also when it comes to real time. So this is where your selection of the top variables from the variable importance charts becomes crucial. You create predictive models only based on those variables that matters or that are important. Okay, so you use only the top two, top three predictors, and based on that, you create your model. It will have two type of impact. First, your model will require less input to work. Second, it will run faster. Okay, and then also you need to consider the accuracy versus speed. In real time deployments, it's okay to compromise accuracy a little bit, compromise accuracy a bit for speed. In batch mode, you don't have to think about speed. It can run. I mean, like, it can take a few hours and then give you the result. Speed does not matter, accuracy matters. Okay, but in real time, it's okay to compromise accuracy, even if you are getting a little less accurate result, but it is giving you fast result. That's what matters in terms of application. Okay, so for this, what we do, the moment you click on a button, once again this will go and fetch this data. So we'll take this data. It will become one row. It will give that data to your function. So you'll create an API function for this. Once again, it takes the data and then it performs the same set of steps that you did earlier, but for one particular row. Load final model and generate predictions. And the predictions will be returned back over here to the app. So 1, 2, 3. Okay.